Hi folks, and welcome to Truck King. Today we're going for a drive with the 2024 Toyota Tacoma fit with the 2.4 liter turbocharged engine, and we're going to do a fuel economy test. Yes, it's cold and snowy as well, so that's going to affect it, so make sure you stay tuned to see just how much gas this thing burns. Folks, and just pulling into the gas station, we're going to fill up so that we can do the math ourselves and then compare our number to what the computer says. So let's go fill it up. Take off. So first of all, let me show you the truck is full. The range is reading 411 kilometers now that it is full, which is 255 miles. We'll go back. First of all, we're going to zero out our fuel economy average like so, and then we're going to go down to trip B. We're going to zero that guy out to keep track, and that's it. We're going to take off. So, let me tell you guys the plan. I am going to head into the city right now and go right downtown and do a bit of city driving before I hit a secondary highway. Speeds on that will be somewhere around 80 kilometers per hour, which is about 50 miles per hour, and I'll be on that for a while, and then from there I'll get on a 400 series highway. That's what we have here in Ontario, equivalent to an interstate, and there I'll be doing somewhere closer to 65, 70 miles per hour, so we'll get a nice mixed usage case. Now, of course, you've already seen it is wintertime, it's cold. The truck is saying that it is -4 degrees Celsius outside, so keep that in mind when we get the fuel economy number we do. Now, the truck we have here today is the TRD Off-Road, which means that we do get a set of all-terrain tires and different suspension. Those things are going to affect the fuel economy, so there is a unique rating for this truck, which includes those things, which I like from Toyota. They offer ratings on each one of the different trim levels based on the content that comes with that truck.
Hey everybody, listen, you've heard us talk about the Giddy-Ups here on the Truck King channel. So this is a new set that I've got in my truck. Now these, unlike the synthetic simple ones that we sold out of last summer, are handmade, all leather, hand stitched. These are unique, these are one of a kind, all made by John out there in Alberta, Canada. And if you're interested in these for your truck, all you have to do is reach out to us at hey@truckking.ca, that's HEY at truckking.ca. We'll send you photos, prices, and delivery information. Do that soon.
So what are the actual fuel economy ratings? Well, right now we have Toyota's fuel economy estimates. These are not from the EPA, and this is for the iForce 2.4 liter turbocharged engine, not for the iForce Max Hybrid. The hybrid is going to launch in the spring of 2024, so we'll get the numbers closer to when that thing launches. But if you're talking about this iForce, Toyota says that fuel economy is going to come in at 19 miles per gallon in the city, 23 miles per gallon on the highway for 20 miles per gallon combined. And then for all the Canadian viewers out there, Toyota Canada says that this TRD Off-Road is good for 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 10.2 liters per 100 on the highway, and 11.8 liters per 100 combined. And of course, now you're probably asking, well, is that actually better than the old Tacoma? On average, this new 2024 truck is getting 1 to 2 miles per gallon better than the old truck, but that does depend on which trim you're getting, and each one of these fuel economy numbers is trim specific. And I'll throw up a little comparison chart right here so you can see which one of the trims made what gains. Now I'm into the highway portion of my drive, and I wanted to share a couple more thoughts on the truck. But before I do, let me say, if you haven't already seen them, we have talked about this truck already a lot here on the channel in other videos. So we have a full review on this truck. We have a specs comparison up comparing the new generation Tacoma to the old generation, and we have a full interview with Tacoma Chief Engineer Sheldon Brown. Plus, we have a full Tacoma off-road video, so hopefully you've seen those. If you haven't, make sure you go check them out after this. That's why in this video I wanted to hyper-focus in on the fuel economy, although I'll share some thoughts too on how the drive is actually going and how the truck feels. So one question I have yet to answer is how big is the fuel tank? And on the new 2024 Tacoma, it is 18.2 gallons, which is actually smaller than it was before. The Tacoma used to have a 21.1 gallon tank. So yeah, you've lost a couple gallons of fuel capacity with this new generation. Now, as I said, I'm on the highway now. I'm cruising along at 65 miles per hour, and this Tacoma does have Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, which is all of the active driving systems and driver aids that are here to help you drive down the road. So first of all, I have adaptive cruise. I have 4 different following distances that I can set, and then of course I also get lane centering here, which is nice, and it's actually fairly accurate. And what I like about it the most, my hands are actually off the wheel now, I'm just hovering over it. What I like about it the most is I feel like I'm truly in the middle of the lane, and then if I want to kind of move over here a little bit or move over there a little bit, it's not really trying to fight the wheel out of my hands. Some of these systems these days have more kind of wheel torque than others, and this one is not that intrusive. So in that way, I've been okay with it. And then one new system which has been interesting to feel is that when adaptive cruise control is turned off, so you're not using the cruise control at all, the Tacoma will still help you to maintain a distance to the vehicle in front of you. So if I have no cruise control on and I'm running up on that vehicle, the Tacoma will actually put on its brakes to maintain the distance. And you know what? Once again, I think it's a smart safety feature, because anytime you're tailgating, you're following a little too closely, the Tacoma will want to start braking to back you off a little bit. And it's always a nice reminder to the driver that, hey man, maybe you shouldn't be so close. But maybe most importantly, you can turn all of this stuff off, so if you just want to drive, you can do that as well. Now, cruising down the highway like this, I'll also compliment the Tacoma's suspension. Gone are the old leaf springs, replaced by a coil multi-link rear suspension, and it's just taken all the harshness out of the Tacoma. Even when you are going over bumps, everything just feels very smooth. The bumps are sort of rounded rather than what they were like before, where the rear end of the truck was kind of harsh hitting things. So yeah, cruising down the road seems more comfortable than before. And then the big thing, and we've harped on it a lot, but I'm going to touch on it again, is the seating position. It's much improved. The so-called heel to hip ratio has been improved. So basically my butt is just sitting up higher now. It allows my feet to go down a little bit lower. It's a more comfortable position. For me personally, it's a huge deal. I can drive this truck comfortably for many, many miles. The old Tacoma, I just never felt that comfortable in the front seat driving that truck. Speaking on the engine a little bit, I like the power. I think that it feels as good, if not better, than the old V6, which is a big deal because this technically, again, is the base engine The old V6 was the upgraded engine, so it'll be even more interesting to compare that new hybrid. But yeah, the power feels good, especially in the low end. At the very top of the rev range, the engine starts to feel a little gassed out, but off the line and in the low end, in the usable power band, so to speak, the power feels really strong from this small turbo as well. So the conclusion right now, of course, is the same as that I had when we reviewed the truck. I like it a lot. I think Toyota did all of the things that they had to do to keep it modern, but they didn't push it too far either, and they made sure that the power plant feels equivalent to what it's replacing. I think the big downsides on the truck are just some of the numbers. The tow rating is actually down on the new Tacoma, only by a few £100, but still it's a little disappointing that the tow rating would actually drop on the new generation of truck. I mentioned having less fuel capacity. Yeah, that's never ideal. It's nice to have a larger tank, so you have to do less stops at the fuel pump. And then the other number that's disappointing is the price, especially for us Canadians. In the States, the extra cab model still starts under $40,000. It feels fairly reasonable. For us here in Canada, the truck is basically starting at $50,000, and then it goes right up to $60,000, and that's without the Hybrid Max truck. So with that in mind, you have to assume the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, and the Limited here in Canada are going to be mid-$60,000 to $70,000 trucks. Yeah, it's just hard to justify the cost. It's gotten more expensive, but you're not saving that much fuel compared to the last generation, and of course you can tow a little bit less. On the flip side, I think the daily drivability is way improved. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to like here, but some of those numbers are not great. Alright folks, we're coming to the end of our loop now. It's warmed up slightly. It's -3 degrees now, but still pretty chilly. And I would say the majority of that loop was spent at between 60 and 65 miles per hour. So definitely a little more on the highway side than the city side. But I was also on a secondary highway, which constantly was going through small towns, so hitting stop signs and stoplights and stuff like that. So it was a nice mix, a decent mix. A little more highway, but a decent mix of driving. I'm back here at the gas station now. I'm at the same pump and everything, and I can reveal the computer numbers. So the computer says that we just got 19.9 miles per gallon, and we'll go down and look at trip B. That was over 115 miles, 2 hours and 12 minutes. For all my Canadian folks, I'll switch the units. So that was 186.4 kilometers, and the fuel economy comes out to 11.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So now I'll go fill up the truck, and then we will grab the receipt and we'll do the math ourselves and see if the real world number or the number that we calculate is close to what the computer said. Alright, now let's do the math ourselves. First, let me tell you, I used the 2-click method when filling the truck that was taught to me by my former employer and buddies over there at TFL. So basically what that means is you fill until you get the first click on the nozzle, then you let it sit for roughly 30 seconds, and then you go until you get the next click, and then you stop. And that's what I did for both fill-ups. The idea is to keep things as consistent as possible so that the real-world numbers are actually correct. So let's work out the number now. So here's what I do. We used 22.130 liters of fuel on our drive, and we drove 186.4 kilometers. You multiply that by 100, and it gives us 11.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So exactly what the computer said, and 11.8 is exactly the EPA rating, which is pretty incredible. And then if I do 11.8 liters per 100 2 miles per gallon. That gives us 19.93 miles per gallon. And remember that the combined number for this truck was 20 US MPG. So I'll give Toyota credit. Their ratings seem to be perfectly accurate. That was the combined number. And we did a little more highway today than city. But even still, we hit those numbers bang on. So that's a positive. I guess the only negative is, sure, I kind of wish those numbers were a little bit better. The whole reason we're being sold on these small displacement turbocharged engines, or one of the main reasons, is fuel economy. The same thing's happening in half-ton trucks, and now it's happening in the mid-sizers. But we're not really seeing that in the real world. The Tundra went from V8 to twin-turbo V6. Fuel economy didn't get that much better. The Tacoma seems to be the same from V6 to the Turbo 4. The fuel economy is not much better. Over there, the General Motors Twins Canyon, Colorado went from V6 to Turbo V4 or turbocharged 4-cylinder. Fuel economy doesn't seem to be that great. So that's the one sort of negative, I think, is we've been sold this idea that we're downsizing and turbocharging in order to get better fuel economy, and it just doesn't seem to be actually happening out here in the real world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of this one. So I gotta tell you, I think with this new generation Tacoma, it's more comfortable inside. It seems to ride better. The engine seems to be more powerful, or at least have a better power band than before. Everything seems to be good. And yes, the fuel economy is improved. Should it have been improved more? Well, I'll leave that up for you to decide. But at least we do know that we're getting all of those other characteristics, including more power with this generation, and you're going to burn at least slightly less fuel. So yeah, that's it for this one. Why don't you guys go in the comments now. Let me know what you think of this new Tacoma and its fuel economy. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.